60 days ago, we looked at the top 10 most expensive illustration rare Pokemon cards in 2025. And today we're looking again to see what has changed since we last looked. It's no secret that the Pokemon single market has been in a free fall recently, so I thought this would be a perfect time to check in and see how much the market has exactly changed in the past 60 days. I'm gonna make sure we get a good enough snapshot, so we are gonna be looking at the price of each card from a year ago, 60 days ago, and the current price of today. Did any cards fall out of the top 10? Has the Carp dropped enough to be dethroned from the most expensive IR spot? I'm gonna answer all that and more in today's video. Let's jump to number 10. At number 10, we have the Tyranitar from Paldea Evolved, and the T-Tar is coming in at $46.41. A year ago, get this peeps, it was sitting at $17.59. This card has forever been undervalued and continues to be undervalued. And a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at $370 with a population count of 812. That is really good, guys. This thing, I don't understand what's going on with this. This is really good. We need to talk about this. The T-Tar, all signs point to that this thing is honestly on the verge of explosion. Obviously, we're in a very bad spot, right? I don't want to say bad spot, but you know, Pokemon single prices have come down quite a bit, and even slab prices in the past couple weeks. So naturally, you know, this card it's probably not going to go up right now, right? Unless something really changes in the market. But just as fast as it went up, it can go down, and just as fast as it can go down, it can go up. So we have no idea. This is definitely one to keep your eyes on. Even this card under $50 to me is still just crazy. I mean, honestly, I'm really highly considering picking up a few of these because that is really good. I love this card. I think this card, like I said, has been undervalued from the get-go. Obviously, it's shadowed because what else is in Paldea Evolved? Obviously, the Magikarp, the Raichu. This one was not on our previous list, so this is a newcomer and at number 10. Hopefully, it stays here again. I think this card is one of the most undervalued cards in the entire era. At number 9, we have the Persian from Shroud of Fable, and the Persian has been getting killed recently. This thing is coming in at $50.13. At release, this bad boy was coming in at $39.99, but it actually dropped as low as $21, so pretty impressive, you know, price movement for this card so far. And a PSA 10, this thing is crazy. So this came out after Paldea Evolved, and it has 1,300 in population for a PSA 10, and the number is coming in at $269. So this one was definitely a victim of, I don't want to say buyouts because I don't think it got bought out, but it was definitely, I think there was a little puppet play going on with this one for sure. And I think everybody kind of knew this. That's why I think it didn't last very long. I think this is a great card for sure. There's no doubt about it, but I think everybody knew something ain't right. You know what I mean? Like whenever the flippers and everything came in, they were trying to make this card something, and maybe it wasn't just them. Maybe, you know, the Pokemon Deep State seen an opportunity as well. But most people that's been in Pokemon, you know, they know that Shroud of Fable was not a very desired set. Not that Shroud of Fable is bad. It's just people just wasn't really feeling it. Same thing with the Persian. Like, it is a great card. I don't think there's really any doubt about that. But the fact that it went up as high as it did as quickly is pretty crazy. It has actually had quite the drop. This thing was number 4 on our previous list. So when we looked at it 60 days ago, it was number 4 at $77. So it's all the way dropped down to 50. That's a pretty large price drop, and it doesn't shock me, honestly. I thought that we could see it go crazy just because of where we were with the market. But since we've had this change, maybe we go lower. At number 8, we have the Raichu from Paldea Evolved, and the Raichu's coming in at $50.47, so slightly higher than the Persian. A year ago, though, this thing was coming in at $21.88, and that is the low for the year. And a PSA 10, this thing's coming in at $385 with a population count of 809. Why do we think the Paldea Evolved PSA count's so low? Is it because the QC was pretty rough? Is that why this is the way it is? Because I mean, honestly, it's probably driving the price too. I mean, at one point this thing was $406, which doesn't surprise me at all. This is another kind of underrated card, honestly. So the Raichu actually dropped one spot from 60 days ago. It was at the number 7, now it's number 8. So it's not a whole lot of shocking news there. It was $57.71 when we looked at it. So it actually hasn't dropped that much at all. So this thing, even though it did go a little higher, it really isn't that far off from where we were 60 days ago. So that's kind of interesting to see. Like I said, you know, this one and the T-Tar both gets overshadowed because of the Magikarp, respectfully. So obviously we understand why, but again, man, this is another one that you know, 50 bucks, not a bad pickup for this card, especially if you can get one in good condition. It's gonna be hard to find, obviously, because people's probably not gonna want to sell it. If they do, they're probably gonna sell it for a higher price. I think if you could grab one of these for like 60 bucks, even if it's pristine, and you know, you can, it's, I don't want to say a guarantee 10 because there's not really a guarantee 10, but if you feel confident, like high confidence in it, even at $60 is not a bad pickup for this card, honestly. At number 7, we have the Charmander from 151, and little baby Charizard's coming in at $52.18. It's actually up since its previous reading. A year ago, this bad boy was coming in at $27.69. It's not the low though. The low would be $22.14. And a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at $278 with a population count of 4,280. So kind of high, but not crazy high. Looks like the all-time high over at least the past 3 months was 318, which I would say is probably the all-time high. No, it's not. The all-time high is 361, so it is kind of mellowed out a little bit. This is another one that I think is just going to continue to be a staple in the top 10. I mean, it's Charmander, it's 151. The farther away we get from 151, the less product that keeps trickling out, you know, every day, I think is going to have a huge factor in this. Everybody loves Charmander, obviously the Charizard. Again, though, I mean, I don't want to say $52 is undervalued, but in a way, it kind of is, just because of the hype around Charizard and Charmander just alone. You would feel, it feels like it should be higher. Like I said, this was number 8 on the previous list, so it actually moved up a spot. And 60 days ago, this bad boy was coming in at $55.34. So it's only dropped like $3 or $4 almost, like 3.5. So it's really not a huge change. So, you know, as crazy as everything, I think what we're seeing is it's kind of weeding out the fakes. You know what I mean? Like the high class cards are prevailing and the ones that were just being manipulated have cooled down, I think is what we're kind of seeing here. We're going to keep looking at the top 10 and see how it plays out. But that's kind of how it feels so far. Because there's a few that got knocked off the list that was clearly inflated because of, you know, the underlyings of the Pokemon Deep State, and even the Persian dropping 5 spots is kind of more evidence of that. At number 6, we have the Squirtle for 151, and the Squirts is coming in at $52.39, so slightly above the Charmander. A year ago, this bad boy was coming in at $24.14, but that is not the yearly low. That was $22.13. And a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at $207 with a population count of 4,281. So with the Squirtle, the big-headed Squirtle, this card drives me insane. I love the artwork, the background and everything, but the Squirtle's head, it just drives me up a wall. I'm not gonna lie to you. Obviously, I love Squirtle, duh, but man, the head on this sucker, he just drives me up. It looks like he's got a football helmet on underneath. Here's the thing, I'm actually really surprised that Squirtle's getting this much love. We're gonna see another Squirtle, obviously, from Stellar Crown. I'm honestly kind of shocked this thing is in past the Charmander, and this one was not on the previous list. So this thing has jumped all the way from not being on the list all the way up to number 6. So that's pretty impressive there. Again, I think it's more of just weeding out the fakes. I'm actually surprised there's not more 151 cards on this list, but the Charmander and Squirtle being 6 and 7 respectfully makes a lot of sense. Honestly, I don't know what's going on with this one. I'll be surprised if it's still in the top 10, just because I feel like this card, as nice as it is, as, you know, sought after as the Pokemon is and all that, I just don't see it being worth more than Charmander. Now, again, we're only talking 20 cents, but still, it is technically still higher. I just, I don't know. This one is, I think the Stellar Crown one has a way better chance of staying in the top 10 than this one. But I will say, like, same thing with the Charmander. The further along we get, the harder these things are going to be to find. You know, we pulled one the other last night, actually, as we're recording this last night in our live stream. And the QC was pretty bad. I mean, it's clearly not a PSA 10. So, you know, I mean, it's definitely a possibility here that something like that could drive the price up. It seems like there's quite a bit population count, but that doesn't really matter in modern Pokemon right now. So I guess it doesn't count. But I am very happy to see this thing above the Charmander, let's just say that. At number 5, we have the Bulbasaur from Stellar Crown. Bulbs is coming in at $55.74. At release, this thing was coming in at $54.99. The low was $31, so that's pretty interesting. And the high was $70.50. And a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at $169, which that seems kind of low to me. And there's no population count, which also seems a bit off. So the Bulbasaur 60 days ago was $69.40, and it was number 6 on our previous list. So it actually moved up a spot, which again, I think this is just keep on furthering that. I mean, this is a high quality card to me. I'm curious what you guys think, if you guys like this one more than the 151 Bulbasaur. Let me know down below if which one you liked more. It's actually pretty tough for me because the Bulbasaur line in general from 151 is my favorite of the original trio. But I really do like this card, but I don't know, I feel like the Bulbasaur from 151 is better. So I'm kind of surprised that that one's also not on the list. You would think it would be, and maybe it will be one day, but right now it's kind of, it's a little surprising to me that this one's up there. I like this card a lot. I think the 151's better, but you know, it is what it is. I think that this one could also be kind of partnered with the Squirtle and then the Charmander promo from Obsidian Flames. People trying to get all three of those. I think that could be something that's, because it doesn't really make a picture, but it kind of makes a picture. It all goes together, so I could see that being a factor here as well. I mean, those IRs and promo all together is just they're a really good group of cards. So I can understand why people would want them. I mean, me personally, I have all three, but I definitely would love to have them slab for sure. At number 4, we have the Squirtle from Stellar Crown. Squirtle in the pool, having a little bubble bath here, is doing $59.50. It's down a bit right now, but at release, this thing was coming in at $52.49. The low was $39, so that's kind of impressive. In a PSA 10, again, we don't really have a population count on that, and it's coming in at $235. I feel like that could be definitely higher. So this Squirtle, I'll be first to tell you, I know I said I like the Bulbasaur from 151 more than the Stellar Crown Bulbasaur. This Squirtle, it's one of my favorite Squirtle cards ever. I think this thing is fantastic. I love it so much I actually ended up buying the Japanese collection box that has all three, just so I could have the Squirtle. I love the Squirtle. This is by far one of my favorites. This thing is absolutely fantastic. Again, I think this is going to be a good staple for the top 10. 60 days ago, though, this thing was coming in at $75.80, so it's definitely come down about $15, and it was number 5 on the list, though, so it has moved up, but I think some of that is due to some moving out. I had to make room for, you know, that naturally makes room for some to go up. It's almost like this one feels more like a correction than a redirection. You know what I mean? Like with the Persian, it was like a complete redirection. Like, no, we're not paying that. You know what I mean? Like you're not getting that high. And then on this one, it feels more like it needs to come down because it's $60 feels a lot more natural for this card than $75. So I like it there. Again, PSA 10, any of these IRs of the original trio, the Charmander from OF, Bulbasaur from Stellar Crown we just looked at, and this one in a PSA 10 is a home run, especially if you get sequentials, that'd be pretty cool. At number 3, we have the Eevee from Twilight Masquerade, and this edition of Eevee is coming in at $66.86. A year ago, well, at release, this thing was coming in at $29.76. What a year for this card. It topped out at $102, so that's kind of interesting. In a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at $218 with a population count of 6,933. So this one is exactly where it was 60 days ago. It's at number 3. The price has changed. This one has dropped quite a bit, and I have a few theories on what happened there. So 60 days ago, this thing was $100. So you're talking about a $44 drop, which is really, that's a big drop. That is a big drop. If you look though at like 60 days ago, right around that is when Prismatic was coming out. So I think people were trying to ride the wave of the Eevee, the year of the Eevee, you know what I mean? Just like if you look at Mega Pokemon from the X and Y era right now, they're all going up right now. They're kind of, people are riding the wave for the new Mega era that's going to be beginning here this year. So it's kind of, it feels like that is what happened for me, is that they were trying, when I say they, I mean the Pokemon Deep State, or just people in general. I mean, once it starts to snowball, everybody kind of gets in on it. The Eevee pushing up to $100, and it looked like it got even higher than 100, is definitely because of Prismatic. I think so. Like, there was definitely pushing the Eevee alongside with Prismatic, which happens quite a bit. So I think that's what happened there. This is a really nice card, though. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I like this card more than any other Eevee card in Prismatic, either one of the SIRs. I think this one's better. So, you know, it's nice to see this one up there. I think this one is going to continue to be a staple. I don't know if it's going to be at number 3. We don't know what's coming out with Destined Rivals. It could be something crazy, but number 3, or being top 10, is secured, I think. I think for sure this is going to stay top 10. Actually, I think our next 2 will as well, but this one's definitely going to be top 10. I don't know if it's going to stay top 5, because we gotta wait and see what happens, but it's gonna be up there for sure. At number 2, we have the Groudon from Paradox Rift, and my boy, the Groudon's coming in at $96.52. A year ago, hold on to your butts, this thing was coming in at $23.37. That is the yearly low. The yearly high was $107.76, so hasn't come down that much. In a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at $388 with a population count of 2,656. That feels very low to me. Not really the population count, which I guess it is low for modern Pokemon. The price tag on that feels really low. I feel like That one could definitely go higher. If you've been around the channel for a while, you guys know how I feel about this card. I've been saying since the day it came out, this thing should be a top 5 IR in the entire set or in the entire era. It should be one of the top cards in the era just overall. It's not there at one of the top cards, but it's definitely, you know, obviously top 2 in the IR category. I love this card. I think it's fantastic. It's one of my favorite Groudon cards ever made. I am a Generation 3 guy, so that's my favorite gen. Naturally, I naturally gravitated to this card, and man, it really feels good to see this one as high as it is. So it was number 2 last time, so it stayed at number 2, and when we looked at it 60 days ago, it was $103. So it really has not had much of a drop at all. Again, this feels more like a part of the correction than redirection. So I'm pretty encouraged by this. If we just see this trading sideways, I mean, this thing is primed for a big explosion. That PSA price seems really low to me. I feel like $400. This thing could easily be a $500 in a PSA 10. Pretty easy. I mean, this thing is pretty hard to pull too, and we haven't had too many that had good QCs on it. So I think that this thing is definitely primed to make a big jump once the market's ready to move again. And at number 1, we have the Magikarp from Paldea Evolved. The carp is coming in at $224.48. A year ago, this bad boy was coming in at $86.99. And a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at 1,300 with a population count of 2,267. So a lot more than the other two we've seen from Paldea Evolved, but still nowhere near, I would say, being high, which it actually has come down quite a bit. I mean, the low on this thing is $1,200, so it's not that bad. I think the line looks more dramatic than anything. Oh, it's just nothing but up. Nothing but up, really. Nothing's catching this. I mean, I don't even think, I think we're so far in now, and with this one just becoming more and more harder to pull. Like, we haven't pulled this card in, it's been at least 1,000 packs. It really had. Now, granted, I pulled a lot early on, like literally pulled 6 or 7 of these things when they were worth like 40, 50 bucks, if that. I think that this one is undisputed number 1 IR of the era. I don't know, unless they make a Mewtwo IR instead of an SIR, I just don't see this happening. Or maybe they do a Charizard IR in Destined Rivals. I just don't see it happening. I really don't. Now, we have to wait and see how, because technically the Mega is still going to be part of the Scarlet and Violet era. Like, it's going to be Scarlet and Violet, the Mega Evolutions or whatever. I think that's how that's going down. And I think we're going to still count it as the same block, unless they kind of do like I think it was like Heart Gold, Soul Silver, where they kind of made their own. Maybe they do that, but if they don't, maybe some of the Mega Pokemon that'll have IRs will, you know, kind of overtake this. And we haven't seen a Charizard IR yet, so we could definitely see one of those. You know, I don't think anything from Journey Together is going to catch it just off the top of my head in the IR category. Obviously, Prismatic doesn't have IRs. That one probably could have, if they would have done IR evolutions, that would have been pretty cool. Honestly, I'm kind of glad they didn't, because that would have probably made it even more crazy. But yeah, this one, it was number 1, obviously, the last time, and 60 days ago. It was actually $232.72. So it hasn't dropped a lot, guys. Like, you know, I know that it went up higher than 232, but if you just look on a 60-day time frame, I mean, you're talking what, $8, $9? That's not a big jump for a card of this category. I mean, you could even say, I mean, that's less than 10%, so that could just be like a normal market swing. This thing didn't fall down a lot. It didn't fall down a lot. This thing is still crushing it. It's still killing it. We just weeded out the stuff that should have never been as high in the first place, which is a good thing. You need that. I mean, you definitely need to weed that out. So I think that's what happened. I don't think that, like, the good cards are still good cards. Does that make sense? Like, the stuff that was inflated is down. I mean, you know, you're looking at the Drowsy, stuff like that, the Baxcalibur, the Brute Bonnet. All that stuff is down. They should have never been as high as they were. Obviously, some of them still have pretty hefty PSA prices, which is still a very interesting thing to me. They've had that the entire time, though. Since the beginning of Scarlet and Violet, the Drowsy, and, you know, almost all the IRs in the Scarlet and Violet base all have good PSA 10 prices. It's been that way since the beginning. So, you know, it's pretty interesting to see this stuff. That's why I love doing these videos. So now we have a good snapshot. We have a 60-day snapshot now. So I'm pretty, this was a pretty exciting video for me. I was really looking forward to seeing this, because the 60-day snapshot we have now, you know, you'll see it's all doom and gloom and everything, you know, everything's up, everything's down. Obviously, people just trying to get clicks and stuff like that. It really hasn't changed. It really hasn't changed. I mean, it just weeded out the bad cards. That's it. The good cards are still worth money. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all the love and support. Let me know down below if you like this 60 day time frame. We got some more we need to look at. We need to go back and look at, but I really wanted to check this one out just because it caught my eye. My antennas went up whenever I seen prices were falling and everything. So I wanted to check this out and see how much they really fell. Guys, remember, if you're struggling to get product, which it is getting better, thank God, definitely go check out your Targets, your Walmarts. But if you're trying to get some exclusive stuff, not exclusive stuff, but maybe you want to try to test the waters on the online stuff, I highly recommend PokeNotify. It is a notification Discord where it lets you know when drops and stuff happen. If you use Factory 25 at checkout, you get 25% off your first month, and you get a free 3-day trial. So it's pretty awesome. You can get in there and try it out, see how you like it. Also, remember, you can join our Discord. It's pretty much the only way you can buy packs from me that are high class sets. So anything that is hard to get or very sought after, maybe it's not that necessarily hard to get, but it's just everybody loves it. Something like even Journey Together. Like Journey Together is kind of everywhere right now, but people are still, I sold out in Journey Together in 20 minutes. The only way you're gonna see these types of sets is if you're in a Discord, and I offer pretty competitive pricing, so I think you should definitely check it out. It's really, and honestly, the DGens are just a good time. And I started streaming Call of Duty in there too, by the way. I don't know if we're gonna keep doing that, but it's a lot of fun. I really like doing it, so definitely check it out. All of the links for that will be down in the description. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the love and support. I'll see you guys tonight in the live stream. Poke Factory out. Peace.